Tell my mga do not cry. Tell my mga do not cry.
I have always looked up to my grandfather, who was a World War II veteran. Being practically raised by my grandparents, I witnessed how my grandfather tried to be the best father to his children and a husband to my grandmother. I believed that my admiration of him as a person was pivotal to my decision to become a police officer. As a regional mobile force commander, my primary responsibility is to supervise and control all the 1,437 men of RMFB in CRPO, because I believe that it is the cornerstone of exercising good leadership, especially when you are leading a unit like this. As I consider myself as their leader, I am also identified as their father. As such, I must look after their welfare, morale, and overall readiness, being their compass in accomplishing our mandates through our collective direction. I also need to be a responsible steward of all the resources that we have. Moreover, aside from giving them a reason why we exist as a public safety force, it is also among my responsibilities that I set a culture that my men could see and feel in our organization in order to provide them with a sense of security as my subordinates. This culture includes values, work ethics, functional work attitudes, equal protection, as well as opportunities. My credibility in police operations is the reflection of my skills that are obtained from months and years of trainings and experiences, which make up a good skill set imperative for any high-risk operations as a police officer. I am very conscious that the lives of my people depend on me during operations. And as a responsible leader, I have to make sure that I have the skills that will not only raise the percentage of success of either combat or high-risk law enforcement operations, but ultimately to keep my men safe in the line. Like we always say in the PNP, the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in battle. Thus, the skills that we have must be a product of excellent training, regardless of how painful and difficult it can be. I was tasked to lead a 32-man trooper in Maguindanao. It was a joint operation with the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and we were tasked as the main effort. Just as we expect, an intense gunfight burst against more or less 300 militants. The bullets from the enemies were swinging right through us from different directions as we were outnumbered. And by God's grace, I was able to navigate them to safety after nearly 9 to 10 hours of intense firefight. Later, after the operation, we received a report that the enemy suffered many casualties from the encounter. Surprisingly, it was only after the operation that we were also informed that our troops were the first ever who did not lose a single soul in trying to penetrate the seemingly impenetrable Ibaloi camp, which made me feel more grateful for our safety. The combat operation was followed by a series of high-risk police operations in Basilan and in Holo-Solo areas. And lastly, my combat operations during the Marawi Siege, which is considered the longest civil war in the history of the country. My greatest personal challenge is keeping up with my family while being in the service. My family has also been my greatest sacrifice. In my 19 years of family life, I cannot even sum up a year that I have stayed home to just be a plain husband and a father to my children. It extremely pains me to think that I could not be there for my children during their milestones in school and during most of the holidays. I am blessed that I did not have to face it alone, because I have a wife who is tireless in filling the gaps of my shortcomings as a father. It is not easy, but it is not also impossible for a family to be the primary source of professional excellence by making them our inspiration, rooted in the fear of God. Peace is a prerequisite to development, and they are closely linked to one another. However, looking at the importance of peace in the development of the nation as a whole, it also calls for the community policing, as it is clearly spells out the need for a responsive community in order to uphold peace and order. With this in mind, I started to develop a sense of urgency, and I intentionally pushed myself in the units I lead in developing and launching community programs and projects suited to the needs of the people that we engage, hoping to reshape their minds and hearts in favor of the government. We become instruments in the delivery of basic services to the depressed community in NCR and Calabar Zone, which includes installation of water system and solar lights, free medical services, donation of basic food supplies, livelihood trainings, and construction of its livelihood centers, including the programs which are part of my milestone already. The little things that we do for the desperate hearts, for the people who seem neglected and who see police officers as their hope in time of hopelessness, make a lot of positive difference in the country. Indeed, in desiring for thunderous impact in the organization and this nation, we should not forget the little things that make us promote humanity.